I found a burner phone magnet mounted under my wife's passenger seat and didn't say a word. Instead, I synchronized it to my laptop and watched her affair with my own brother-in-law unfold in real time for 14 days. I sat at our dinner table, nodding as they mocked my cluelessness in messages I was reading as they sent them, watching them plan to steal my life savings for their new beginning. They thought they were cornering a victim for a quiet divorce. They didn't realize they were walking into a digital trap I had built bite by bite, and the play button was already in my hand. My name is Julian Vane, and I've spent 15 years as a senior cybersecurity analyst. My job is to find the vulnerabilities that people think are hidden, to see the digital footprints that others try to erase, and to protect assets from internal threats. I never thought my greatest professional challenge would be sitting in my own driveway on a Tuesday evening. It was 6:15 p.m., a typical Charlotte sunset painting the sky in bruised purples and oranges. Claire and I were supposed to head out for a rare Tuesday night dinner at a steakhouse downtown. She had realized she lost her favorite gold-plated pen, a gift from her late father, and she was frantic. I offered to check her SUV. I was reaching under the passenger seat, my hand brushing against the plush carpet, when my fingers struck something that didn't feel like a pen. It was a cold, hard plastic casing. I pulled it back, expecting a lost toy or a piece of debris, but what I found was a professional-grade magnetic GPS and burner phone housing. For the next 14 days, I lived in two different realities. In one, I was the supportive husband who helped with the dishes and talked about our upcoming vacation to Italy. In the other, I was a silent watcher. I set up a secondary monitor in my office, hidden behind a false panel in the cabinetry. Every time that burner phone received a text, every time a photo was sent, every time the GPS pinged, it appeared on my screen in high definition. I watched Project X reveal himself within the first 48 hours. It wasn't a stranger or a ghost from her past. It was Mark, my brother-in-law, my sister's husband, the man I had shared a boat with every summer for 5 years. The man who had sat at my table for Thanksgiving and toasted to family loyalty. The betrayal was a three-dimensional web. I watched their GPS breadcrumbs. While Claire told me she was at hot yoga, I watched her digital dot move to a secluded trailhead on the outskirts of town. I watched Mark's dot arrive 3 minutes later. I watched them sit in that parking lot for 2 hours, trade messages about how trapped they felt in their marriages, and plan a future that was being funded by me. That was the part that turned my grief into a cold, hard mission. I accessed the banking app on the burner phone. Claire had been siphoning $500 a week from our joint home improvement fund for nearly 18 months. She was converting it into a crypto wallet that only she and Mark could access. They had over $42,000 saved up their exit fund. They weren't just having an affair. They were stealing the equity of my hard work to pay for their new beginning. I didn't stop watching. I wanted the full scope. I saw the messages where they mocked my sister, Mark's wife, calling her obsessive and boring. I saw the messages where they planned the Sunday strike. Mark had texted, "I can't do the sneaking anymore. Tell him tonight. If he's a man, he'll let you go quietly." Claire's response was what sealed her fate. "I'll do it Sunday. My brother and mom will be there. He won't make a scene in front of them. He's too soft. He'll give me the house just to stop the crying." Sunday arrived. The air in the house was thick, like the moments before a massive storm breaks. Claire had invited her mother, Evelyn, and her brother, Simon, over for a family discussion. They sat in my living room, looking at me with practiced pity, clearly briefed on a version of the story where I was the emotionally distant husband who had driven his poor wife into the arms of someone who understood her. Claire stood up, her voice trembling in a perfect, rehearsed performance. She told me she had fallen out of love. She told me she was pregnant with Mark's child. She told me that for the sake of the innocent baby, I should be a man, sign the house over to her, and walk away with my dignity. Evelyn chimed in, telling me that bitterness is a poison, and I should just let her go. I didn't say a word. I didn't cry. I didn't even stand up. I just reached for the TV remote and hit the input for my laptop, which was already connected via the HDMI port in the wall. "I agree, Claire," I said, my voice as calm as a frozen lake. We should definitely look at the facts before we decide what a man would do. I hit play. The first thing that hit the screen wasn't a photo. It was the GPS overlay of every trailhead meeting from the last 6 months. Then came the messages, not the romantic ones, but the ones where they laughed about stealing the money. I showed the bank transfers. I showed the crypto wallet address. I showed the message where Mark called Evelyn an old bat who won't suspect a thing. The room went deathly silent. The pity in Evelyn's eyes turned into a white-hot rage as she realized her daughter had insulted her behind her back. Simon, her brother, stood up and looked at his sister like she was a stranger. He was Mark's best friend, and he had just realized that Mark had betrayed his entire family. I looked at Claire, whose face had gone a shade of gray I'd never seen before. "I'm not signing the house over," I said. "In fact, my lawyer Marcus has already filed for a fault divorce based on marital waste and fraud. And Simon, you might want to call your wife. I've already sent her the full archive of Mark's phone. He isn't just sleeping with your sister. He's been sleeping with his secretary, too. It's all in the Project X backup. I didn't have to throw her clothes on the lawn. Her own brother told her to get out of the house. Her mother refused to let her stay in the guest room. I'm Julian Vane. I kept the house. I recovered 90% of the stolen funds through a court-ordered freeze on that crypto wallet. Mark lost his job, his marriage, and his reputation. Claire moved into a tiny studio apartment, discovering that Project X wasn't so romantic when he didn't have my house to hide in or my money to spend. Some people think a man is soft because he's quiet. They forget that the quietest person in the room is usually the one recording the conversation.